Breaking news today. Massive chemical explosion rocks small town in Pennsylvania. A mysterious earthquake near Area 51. And a secret, now not so secret, military base under the ice in Greenland. So I thought we were going to buy Greenland. At least President Trump was talking about purchasing Greenland. I know a lot of Greenlanders don't like that idea. We're going to talk about it. Lots to discuss. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Be prepared, not scared, and buckle up, Buttercup. Let's go. So, just yesterday, a chemical explosion rocked Pennsylvania. You can see it right here. At least a dozen injured in this Pennsylvania explosion. So, I did some digging and I looked into the corporation, like what they actually manufacture, where it's at, how many people are out there. We're going to talk about it. Very interesting, especially the name. Parker LORD Corporation Facility. Now, this is in Crawford County, Pennsylvania. There's only like 900 people in this town, approximately, according to Wikipedia. I think it's a little bit less. But the incident resulted in injuries to multiple individuals, both plant employees and firefighters. And according to emergency management, a total of 13 people were affected, 7 plant employees and 6 firefighters. The injured were transported to local hospitals for evaluation and treatment. And you can also go to NBC News and you can look at the video. Massive explosion at Pennsylvania plant. Let's change subject for just a second, and huge shout out to our sponsor, Noble Gold Investments. I don't know if you've given them a call yet. If you have a 401 or an IRA, a lot of people have IRAs and 401s just sitting there. Well, guess what? If you convert your 401 or IRA into precious metals through Noble Gold Investments, find out how to qualify. They will gift you a 5-ounce solid silver America the Beautiful coin, and that will be gifted to you to add to your collection. They'll even give you a free book, which is a great read. It's called Silver is the New Oil by Colin Plume. The company has an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, countless 5-star reviews. You will thank me later. I have family and friends that have used Noble Gold Investments. I use Noble Gold Investments. Awesome product. Awesome. I mean, gold, silver, it's been around a long time, right? Long time. Trading in gold. Oh, yeah. Even the ancient Sumerians were doing it. But anyway, give them a call, 877-646-5347. Let them know Rex from Leak Project sent you. Now let's get into the latest headline. So, LORD Corporation. Have you heard of it? Hey, Alan. How's it going, man? Hey, Rona. Hey, everybody. Thanks for being here. Victor, good to see you. 16-bit. These are some great names. This is just a tiny town where their corporation is. But the thing is, they have a multitude of plants under the umbrella of this corporation. I was doing some research here. Now, this location is in Pennsylvania, and I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the town because I know I'm going to get it wrong. But it's a small town in Pennsylvania. If you look at the locations that this corporation has, I mean, they've got corporations from Australia to Japan, Hong Kong, Belgium, Brazil, China, France, Germany, just mentioned Hong Kong, India, Indonesia, Israel, Italy, Japan, Malaysia, Mexico, the Netherlands, Poland, Russian Federation, Slovakia, not Slovenia, Slovakia, South Korea, Spain, Switzerland, Sweden, Taiwan, Thailand, Turkey, United Kingdom, and of course, the USA. Maybe that's why they call it LORD Parker Corporation. Anyway, their plant in Pennsylvania exploded. And if we do let's just zoom in on here. I'll give you an idea on how small this town actually is. This corporation probably employs the majority of the town as far as jobs go. Here's the corporation. Here's the video from across the street via NBC News. And when we look into like what the company actually does, they're a chemical company. And a lot of the chemicals that they produce are for military applications, aerospace applications. The explosion took place shortly after firefighters responded to an automatic fire alarm at the plant about 10:30 a.m. Upon arrival, they encountered heavy smoke. Moments later, the explosion occurred. One firefighter sustained injuries from the blast, is currently receiving medical care. Emergency management officials noted that several responders suffered minor injuries, emphasizing the fortunate absence of fatalities given the explosion's magnitude. Thank God nobody was killed. That's awesome. As a precaution, residents within a 3-mile radius of the plant were initially advised to shelter in place. However, the advisory has since been lifted. Authorities have indicated that the majority of the smoke drifted into a wooded area, and there are no current concerns regarding hazardous chemicals or air quality. Yeah, no current concerns according to who? No current concerns according to who? The people that, anyway. The Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection is monitoring the situation and investigating potential environmental impacts, including runoff. The Parker LORD facility specializes in producing materials for various industries, automotive, aerospace, industrial, oil and gas sectors. Operations of the plant have been suspended pending a thorough investigation into the cause and into the incident. Company representatives have expressed gratitude to local emergency responders and extended wishes for the swift recovery of those injured. CBS News, WPXI, and News Nation. Read all about it. Let's go back to the company here. If you go to the website, Making the Impossible Real. Together with our customers, we are on an unending journey to create innovative solutions that move every person in the world. Learn more about our solutions and how they're present in your world every single day. Service work, trailers, bus and rail transportation, recreational vehicles, aerospace and defense, heavy-duty trucks, sign building, construction, off-highway equipment, electric vehicles. So just to put into perspective, they are a pretty big company with a lot of satellite locations. So that's the first article. Be prepared, not scared. Oh yeah, let me show you this also. So notice the location here in Pennsylvania. There have been many reports of mystery drones in Pennsylvania, especially over certain reservoirs. And look at how close we are to New Jersey, and the Great Lakes up here. Remember the Michigan, Owasco, where was it? That little tiny town in Michigan where there's a huge decommissioned Air Force base and still a lot of planes and a lot of activity out there. Well, there was talks of FEMA initially sending out truckloads of supplies to the location, which I think is actually right up here. And then that hit the news, and then the official story shortly after is, oh no, it was just a location being considered, but we didn't have any definitive plans. Well, the city council member that was giving the meeting certainly thought that there was definitive plans in place. But I've actually talked to a couple people that have been out there recently. Drew, thank you very much. My friend Drew went out there, checked out the area, talked to some locals, and there hasn't been anything on the books since, or at least activity connected to what they thought FEMA bringing in a whole bunch of trucks. That hasn't happened yet. And if it did, they did it very secretively because even the locals don't know about it. So that's up there, not really very far from where a lot of this activity is going on right now. So it just seems like the East Coast in particular, tons of activity in Michigan, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, right around this area. And also remember the UAP that was shot down from the Canadian Air Force right out around the Lake Huron area. A lot of UAP activity out here. Had a very interesting conversation with my friend Mark and a friend of his that back in early 2000, it was around 2001, this gentleman was fishing right around here and had a UAP fly not directly over him, but close enough to where it was tagging him with this light. And the light was also, he said he felt like he was being scanned. He said, like, if you ever He said, if you've ever been pulled over and there's a whole bunch of lights and the cops got the flashlight on you when you roll down the window, he said he kind of felt like that, times 10, basically. And he felt like his body and everything in the area was being scanned. So this UAP shows up, it scans him, it flashes its light on him, and then it just blasts off. Like technology out of this world. Then I did some research, and there has been a multitude of reports of UAPs in this same area. There's probably some activity, some bases under the lakes here, underwater. And that's why we're seeing so much activity. Or there could be some temporary bases down there. Now, whether it's non-human intelligence or highly advanced technologies that have been created by humans, I don't know. But it's definitely something that appeared out of this world, the way that it showed up, the characteristics, and all of the activity around the East Coast. I'm also picking up kind of like a spiritual quantum. How do I put it? Did you watch the Super Bowl last night? If you watched the Super Bowl and you watched the halftime show, which I thought was, like, they did a great job presenting the halftime show. Like all of the people out there involved, the dancers, the rapper. I don't even know what this gentleman's name is, but the performance was spectacular. Whether it was for good or for bad, or whether you liked the music or not, the performance itself was pretty impressive. I was thinking to myself, how much are each of these dancers getting paid out there that are going out there and performing? Are they getting like $1,000 each? How much are they paying just for this performance of the additional dancers? But anyway, that's a whole other show. But if you watch that halftime show, you probably noticed the red, the white, and the blue. The red, the white, and the blue. And certain things that were said at particular times, I did not resonate with at all. I was actually like, ooh, I didn't like some of the stuff that was said, especially at particular times. And you can go back and watch and listen. But I picked up vibes that were like, prepare for conflict. The red, the white, and the blue. Prepare for expansion. Prepare for conflict. Prepare for battle, potentially. And it was a very, I could see it. I don't know what you saw, but I want to read your comments. What did you pick up in the Super Bowl halftime show? What were your thoughts? What were your emotions? And it's interesting how a lot of people were predicting Kansas City was going to win the Super Bowl because it seemed like certain calls in earlier games were geared towards them winning. A lot of, I'm not a referee. Mark is. Mark needs to do a show on this, my friend Mark, because he's actually a referee. But a lot of those calls were very suspicious, in my opinion, and hundreds of thousands of other people that watched them, commented on them in these videos that were done. So a lot of people thought Kansas City was going to get a three-peat. I saw a video that just showed a quick excerpt of, actually, it wasn't even a video. I'm sorry. It was like an emoji. It was an emoji of a Simpsons prediction that Philadelphia would win the Super Bowl. Now, that was enough for me to jump on the bandwagon and say, okay, I'm going to DraftKings and I'm putting some money on the Eagles. And I did. But anyway, so it's interesting how the Simpsons oftentimes will come out with a cartoon that will have a scene in the cartoon that years later you watch something in the news that mirrors that to an eerie degree. Now, I don't know how or how they do this, or if it's just the universal quantum consciousness, whatever, or if there is some type of technology that allows certain agencies to see into the future, peer into the future, and then put that into a cartoon for some specific purpose of, I don't necessarily know. It's almost like a way to show if that's what they have done or what they do sometimes. And I don't even know if I think that it is, but if it is, it would be a way to condition the masses to almost like say, we told you so, but then when you bring it up, you have to laugh it off because it was in a cartoon. You're like, yeah, but that was in a cartoon. So duh. It's a mind warp. But back to the article here, when we get into the location and the LORD Corporation and this chemical explosion, you don't want those chemicals out there, man. Chemicals are bad, okay, in my opinion. Some people like to ingest microplastics and forever chemicals. Me, no thank you. You read the report recently where they did a autopsy on a human body, and it had about a teaspoon of microplastics in the brain. Microplastics, because they love you so much. And speaking of loving you so much, Camp Century. Do we really need to purchase Greenland? I mean, we have military bases there already. We've had military bases there for decades under the ice, like Camp Century. This is like something out of a conspiracy novel, if you ask me. I mean, the way that they made this under ice bunker system with tunnels and a nuclear reactor. I mean, they're setting themselves up for all sorts of opportunities. Camp Century, you can read about this, earthobservatory.nasa.gov, also known as the city under the ice. It's a relic of the Cold War. It's a relic, folks. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers built the military base in 1959 by cutting a network of tunnels within the near surface layer of the ice sheet after it was abandoned in 1967. So it lasted for 8 years. Well, guess what's going to last a little bit longer than 8 years? The nuclear waste that's under the ice sitting there. Hundreds of thousands of gallons of nuclear waste. Oh, yeah. That has a little bit longer shelf life than 8 years. I'm just saying. But it's because they love you. Snow and ice continue to accumulate. The solid structures associated with the facility now lie at least 100 feet below the surface. Talk about global warming. We have a military base in Greenland that's 60 years old. That's under 100 feet of ice. Wow. Radar measures distance by sending out radio waves and timing how long it takes for them to reflect back to the sensor, like an ultrasound for ice sheets. Scientists can use radar to map the ice surface, its internal layers, and the bedrock below. Check this out. So here's the location, Camp Century. And then this is a actual plan of the base. So you can see that you've got these different levels, below levels. You've got a theater, a chapel, an R&D office, library, different types of clubs, sewage collection tank, a dispensary. Nice. They got a dispensary out there. Hello. What else you going to do in Greenland? I'll take that style right there. Yes, I would like that hybrid mixture for my living under the ice in Greenland. I definitely need a dispensary. Oh, not that kind of dispensary. Oh, oops. So you've got the mess hall. You've got the water supply building, vehicle maintenance, generator and control reactor maintenance. They put a nuclear reactor down there, folks. They're like, what do we need for power under the ice? Let's just slap a nuclear reactor down here. What could go wrong? So they slap a nuclear reactor down there. Listen to this. The camp operated from 59 to 67, consisting of 21 tunnels, a total length of 9,800 feet, powered by a nuclear reactor, Project Iceworm. It was aborted after they realized that the ice sheet was not able, or it wasn't as stable as they originally assessed, and that the missile basing concept would not be feasible. They wanted to basically put a bunch of missiles down there in case they had to launch them towards the Soviet Union during the Cold War. And so the reactor was removed. Camp Century was later abandoned. However, hazardous waste remains buried under the ice, and it has become an environmental concern. Ice core samples from Camp Century were used to create stable isotopes, and they used an analysis. That was the analysis that they used, to develop the climate models. The soil contained in the samples suggests that the site was ice-free as recently as 400,000 years prior, indicating a much reduced Greenland ice sheet and therefore much higher sea levels. Since 2007, the Geological Survey of Denmark and Greenland has maintained a climate monitoring presence at Camp Century with the Camp Century Climate Monitoring Program. The monitoring presence includes measuring climate variables, snow, ice temperatures, and ice-penetrating radar surveys of the subsurface debris and containment field. So In 1960, the purpose of Camp Century was to test various construction techniques under Arctic conditions, to explore practical problems with the PM-2A semi-mobile nuclear reactor, and to support scientific experiments on the ice cap. I'm looking for how much like radiation. It said, here we go. In 2016, a group of scientists evaluated the environmental impact of the abandoned facility, estimating that due to changing weather patterns over the next few decades, meltwater could release the nuclear waste, 200,000 liters of diesel fuel, a non-trivial quantity of PCBs, and 24 million liters of untreated sewage into the environment as early as 2090. Transition in ice sheet surface mass balance at Camp Century from an accumulation to net ablation is determined plausible within the next 75 years under the climate model, and after another 44 to 88 years, the buried waste could be exposed between 2135 and 2179. So, 8 years of research is now going to offer millions of years, potentially thousands of years of research about the environmental impacts because they love you so much. Now, in 2021, the assessment of the future evolution of Camp Century demonstrated that meltwater never reached the base. In fact, it never penetrated more than 1.1 meters. This data supports a determination that there is no chance for remobilization of debris and contamination before year 2100, and projections have been adjusted with weather measurements from the station at Camp Century. Wow. Okay. Here's some more images. This is colorado.edu, Greenland and the legacy of Camp Century. During the Cold War, U.S. military attention shifted to the Arctic, the shortest route between the U.S. and the former Soviet Union. In April of 1951, the U.S. and Denmark agreed to defend Greenland, a Danish territory, from Soviet attack, and the U.S. built several air bases in Greenland that year. Built 125 miles inland from the Greenland coast, encased completely within the ice sheet, Camp Century became known as the city under the ice. It housed between 85 and 200 soldiers, powered by a nuclear reactor. Here's one of the images right here. Wow. 25. Okay, listen to this. The camp also provided proof of concept that a top secret program to test the feasibility of building nuclear missile launch sites close enough to reach the Soviet Union, while never built, a large planned camp based on the concept of Camp Century would have housed a 2,500 mile long tunnel system underneath the ice capable of deploying up to 600 nuclear missiles. Whoa. Yeah, this is interesting. The team found the waste at Camp Century covers 55 hectares, which is 136 acres, roughly the size of 100 football fields. They estimate, the site contains 200,000 liters or 53,000 gallons of diesel fuel. Based on building materials used in the Arctic at the time, the authors speculate the site contains PCBs, which are also pollutants toxic to human health. They also estimate the site has 63,000 gallons of wastewater, including sewage, along with an unknown volume of low-level radioactive coolant from the nuclear generator. Wow. Okay. Well, there you go. There you go. This is a visual of the area close to the explosion of that chemical plant that we were just talking about earlier. And also a recent earthquake close to Area 51. Hot off the press. February 10th, 2025, a 2.8 magnitude earthquake occurred at the Amargosa Valley, which is about 50 miles from the highly classified Area 51 base in Nevada. Given the minor magnitude, it's unlikely that the tremor caused significant structural damage to the facility, Express.com. Area 51, officially known as Groom Lake, and the U.S. Air Force military installation located in southern Nevada, was established in 1955, and it's used primarily as a flight testing facility for experimental aircraft, and it's not accessible to the public. It's also under 24-hour surveillance. And that's, that's very true. I went out there back in, was it 2018? At the end of 2018, beginning of 2019. And when I went out there, I did a TV shoot out there with some producers from, well, they're not from a specific network, but they work with several different networks. We went out there. We meet up with this guy from Europe, Yurgay. I can't remember his name. Guy's really cool. He's got, at the time, like a Suburban, an older Suburban or a Yukon. And so we drive deep into the desert out there, still a ways away from any fences or anything like that. But we get out of the Suburban, and I walk just a few feet, and I trip over a wire that's poking out of the desert. They've got sensors out in the desert, and this thing was probably 40 or 50 years old, because I trip over it. I'm like, what the heck is it? We get it out of the ground, and it's like a wire system that's hooked up to something. And so and we were also being watched the whole time we were out there by the camo guys. And I got my Nikon P1000, so I can zoom in on the camo guys, zooming in on me, and it was a trip. But it was definitely an interesting experience. And that place out there is bizarre. They do a lot of weird experiments out there. Whether or not aliens are there, I don't know. But if they're going to test exotic craft that's reverse engineered from non-human intelligence, that would be the place to do it. And there's a little town out there called Rachel, Nevada, where they're always testing radiation. I mean, they've got a sign up there that's constantly monitoring radiation. Rachel, Nevada is just a tiny little town, but that's the closest town to Area 51. You go to that town, and then you can go explore surrounding areas, which we did. And there's a lot of old mines out there and abandoned mines. One of the most fascinating things out there that I heard from the tour guide, which he's probably still doing tours out there. He was getting a lot of business when there was the alien stock at Area 51, outside of Area 51. Was that in 2019? But anyway, so he told me one time he witnessed in Rachel, just like out on the outskirts of Rachel, Nevada, he witnessed a craft hover, and he doesn't even really necessarily believe. I asked him about ETs, and he's like, I don't think that they're. He's not an ET guy, is what I'm saying. So this is what he sees, and he told me he saw a craft that was hovering off the ground, very low. It's there. It then disappears and appears a few hundred yards away, or a couple hundred yards away, very low off the ground. It's there, it disappears, then it appears somewhere else. That's freaking cool. That's some pretty wild technology right there. Oh, let's just go test out the new quantum teleport machine right now. We'll go test it out there outside of Rachel, Nevada. We'll make sure that there's a few people that witness it, just to freak them the F out, and then we'll go back to work. Lunch break. Maybe that's, very, very interesting what's out there. So Area 51 and earthquakes. Area 51. Pretty cool. Now this isn't very cool. This is talking about Camp Century's nuclear reactor produced over 47,000 gallons of radioactive waste. The reactor was removed upon decommissioning. The waste remains buried under the ice. About 200,000 liters of diesel fuel, 24 million liters of untreated sewage. And join me for the podcast later today. Jump back on here in a few hours, because I'm going to do an update on the YR4 asteroid, which has a potential to impact Earth December 22nd, 2032. You probably already saw the report on this, but what you probably didn't see is they just doubled the projection for percentage of hitting Earth. It went from like 1% and some change to 2.3%. Now, that may not seem like a lot, but for an asteroid, especially doubling in that short amount of time, definitely something we want to keep our eyes on. Be prepared, not scared. Check us out on Patreon. You'll thank me later. Also, check out Noble Gold Investments. Really appreciate you watching the shows and leaving a comment. If you would, please leave a comment in the comment section. Also, hit the like on the thumbs up. The algorithms need some love too, and that helps with the videos. And you're amazing. Be the change you want to see. Thank you.